Morning, sir. How are you? Hey, buddy. How are you? Okay. Thank you. Hey, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Good so
Good.
far as I know.
Right, can't complain. It's hump day.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I remember in college I used to give a shit about that.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I
Wednesday
wanted
was a
to,
big day. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I wanted to ask you a question. Are you familiar with the business summit that they're doing in Raleigh?
I'm not.
Okay.
What
I
is
um,
it?
I got awarded, let me read the email. I got awarded the grant for people to come, for entrepreneurs to come, and I just wanted to ask your opinion, maybe some do's and don'ts. I wasn't sure if you've heard about it, but it's the Rural Summit for 2023.
Oh, I do. Okay. Now I know what you're talking about. I was on the board of the Rural Center for 6 years.
Oh wow, really? Ba-
Yeah. So that's a good one to go to if you can. I'll tell
Yeah,
you.
I got awarded the scholarship, so I'm gonna go. They just said I had to pay my $25 registration.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep, so I'll be going and attending.
Good. Yeah, it's a lot of people, and I think it's a good thing myself, but I don't know exactly what are they doing, some kind of pitch competition where you can get money?
No, 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 no. I think it's just let me read the email correctly.
Well, so I know that
Entrepreneur, well, it's called the Entrepreneur Advocate Scholarship.
okay.
And it's for entrepreneurs, small business owners with an interest in advocacy in the Small Business Coalition.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Ooh,
Well, I think it's a great group. Be a lot of people there. Can't hurt.
cool,
Yeah. Quality
cool.
organization for sure.
I was still trying to figure out because I'm more so in the beauty industry, but I
Uh-huh.
still said I still would go and maybe I don't know, maybe I could get some help there or get some kind of direction. I'm not sure if you're familiar. I'm trying to open up my resource center where I have the cosmetology license, the HVAC, high school diploma, mental health counseling, resume building, business counseling, and things like that. So I was going to go and see maybe I could meet people who's maybe done something familiar or who could help lead me in the right direction. And then also to it maybe if I meet any more small business owners there who maybe want to go on some of my tours and meet some of these manufacturers in person and things like that when I go overseas and stuff. So
Well, just
I just
take plenty of business cards, and don't be bashful. Introduce yourself to as many people. That most of the people that are there are trying to help rural areas. That's their goal. And
right,
don't be afraid to ask for suggestions or referrals. Say, hey, do you guys know anybody who could help me with this? They might even have some kind of program that I don't know about that might be right up your alley. So
okay,
I look at those things as a way to build your network. It's hard to know who will be there. So it's
right,
a little
right,
hard to know, exactly what to say or look for, but that would be my suggestion.
okay, cool, thanks.
Yeah. All right. Well, hello, everybody. Good to see you. Same time, same station and all that. So today we have the world's fastest talker who is going to talk about branding. And, branding is one of those words that you hear all the time and may not necessarily know exactly how to apply it in your particular situation. So I hope this will be helpful to everybody. So let's get the world's fastest talker going here. He doesn't cuss, I don't think. He's one of the first ones not to cuss, so that's good. According to my wife, anyway. Okay, here we go.
Okay, my name is Chuck Pettis. I love branding. I'm really going to have a good time telling you in 40 minutes everything you need to know almost about branding. I've been doing branding my whole career. And I've been in an entrepreneurial family my whole career, and so I'm really connect with you. I've had the opportunity to work with some of the world's greatest brands in all different kinds: manufacturing, service, real estate, consumer, financial, lots of high tech, manufacturing, restaurants, boy, just about everything. Let me just skip through those. So branding is the most powerful tool in the commercial world. Very few people understand how brand works. I'm here to tell you how it really works because branding alters people's perceptions of reality. What I want to do is give you an overview of these most powerful branding tools that are used by the world's most powerful brands so that you can use these tools to help your company be super successful. What is brand? Brand is a trademark. It's a trust mark. It's a trust relationship. Brand is about perception. It actually has not that much to do with reality. Stanford did a study with kids, and they found out that anything that has McDonald's on it tastes better to kids. Whoa. There's the great test between Coke and Pepsi. If you do blind taste testing, where people are tasting Coke and Pepsi, but they don't know what they're tasting, 51% will prefer Pepsi over Coke. But if you do name testing, here's Coke, here's Pepsi, all of a sudden almost 3-to-1, people will prefer Coca-Cola over Pepsi. Huge. They did the same study where the subjects were in an fMRI scanning machine where most of the branding research is being done this day, i.e. what's going on in the brain when people are perceiving your brand. When the subjects didn't know what brand they were tasting, nothing happened in the brain. When they were cued with Pepsi, nothing happened in the brain. When they were cued with Coca-Cola, the brain lit up. In branding, we want the brain to light up emotionally. We want people to want your brand. Here is the brain on Coca-Cola. Here is the brain on Pepsi. I once did a workshop with one of the world's leading radiologists. He said, that's the pleasure center. It doesn't get much better than that. What has Coke done and what's Pepsi done? Coke has been on message. They repeated their key messages, delicious, refreshing, unique, for decades. They've kept the same logo. Pepsi keeps changing the logo. Pepsi keeps changing their messages. They actually just recently did a commercial where they used delicious and refreshing, which is the words that Coca-Cola owns. So let me tell you how people perceive reality. We perceive reality through our senses. The first place a sense signal goes is the amygdala, the limbic system in the middle of our brain, where people unconsciously decide what they're hearing, seeing, feeling is relevant to them. We want to light up the emotional brain. Then the sense signal gets to the prefrontal cortex, which is the rational brain, and that's where we want them to see your messages. So when you're doing branding, we need to light up the emotional part of the brain first, and then we need to give them messages so they know they've made a right decision. First, we start with emotions, then we go to the rational. The way we light up the brain is through imagery. We need to pick the right imagery because people are bombarded with all these messages. They tune them out. If you show the right image to people, it'll get the brain to light up emotionally, they'll connect, and then you give them the messages. So then what we do is you got to pick the right images. Image first, then messages. Then you use a brand ladder. A brand ladder is where you pick your features, why people are going to buy your product, then the benefits, why is it good for them, and then you want to ask them, how does it make you feel when you deliver on that feature and those benefits? Then you find imagery that evokes the emotion connected to the top-tier purchase factors. So you show the images that are connected to the top-tier purchase factors, then they can read the features and the benefits. So we did a project with JELD-WEN, who's the world's largest manufacturer of windows and doors. And the number one purchase factor for windows is reliability. It's true for dealers, distributors, builders, remodelers, consumers. Actually, reliability is the number one purchase factor or feature in the world. Everybody wants reliability. So then we found out, how do we ladder that up? And what is the emotion for reliability when it comes to windows if you're a builder or remodeler? Reliability, and the emotion is peace of mind, because if the window arrives, it has a defect, it's late, it causes all kinds of problems. You want it to arrive on time, and it boils down to peace of mind. So it's all about imagery. Got to pick the right imagery, and you really ought to test imagery. You can test imagery first in your founder group, and then with your friends you can have pizza parties. So this is a major opportunity. If one thing I want you to take out of this, the number one thing is the use of powerful imagery to get your target audience's attention.
One of the things I want to point out here is that this artificial intelligence we've been talking about, this generative AI, you can get images from that you can describe using text exactly what you want, or find someone who knows how to use the tool. But you can get powerful imagery in any form you can think of, from a cartoon to a realistic photo, all different kinds of things. But that's one of the things with that technology. You don't have to pay for that image, and you don't have to search all over for the perfect image. You can create an image that meets the needs.
So here's the JELD-WEN. Let's go back to the JELD-WEN if we could. Here's the brand ladder. So here's JELD-WEN ads. And we did all kinds of research to find out what kind of imagery would evoke peace of mind when it came to windows, because most people just show the frames. What we found out is if we show pictures of windows from the inside of a home to a beautiful pastoral landscape, it like totally did the job. This equaled billions of dollars to JELD-WEN. It was huge. This stuff really works. So brand is your proprietary, emotional, visual, rational image. It is all about selling. This is not about fluff or hype or anything like that. It's about how do you sell quicker and faster. And a well-crafted value will increase the value of your brand and your company, so you can get better funding, you can get a higher multiplier, you can get a great exit. It's not about a new logo. The big trap you're going to run into if you go to a branding agency is most of these people have no idea of any of the stuff I've just talked about, and to them branding's a new logo. What a waste of time. Forget it. It's all about communicating what you do and communicate it in a way that people get it and they want it. It's about more sales, a quicker close, a better valuation, building trust, and attracting great people to come work for you. Getting your brand remembered. You've heard the word repetition, I think, so far 2 or 3 times this morning. In branding, the goal is you need to repeat your brand name and your top tier features or purchase factors over and over and over and over again. And like you need to memorize them. And it takes 28 times for people to actually remember stuff, so you need to repeat it verbatim. You can't reword it. This is not like writing essays where you do an intro and then set it all up and keep the good stuff for the end. In branding, we do the good stuff up front and we keep repeating it. So we did a big project for REI. This is the before image. So in REI, a lot of these people do mountain climbing and technical climbing. And so this is real cool to them. The problem is the target audience for REI is a regular person just wants to go for a walk, wants to go for a hike. And this totally scares them, makes their palms sweat. They throw away the catalog. We did research and we found out that if we show little people in big, beautiful landscapes, it totally turns on people who want to go in the outdoors. Because that was the goal. They wanted to motivate people to go in the outdoors and get more clothing and gear. They're still using the same kind of imagery in 2017, 2018. If you go to an REI store, you're going to see this kind of imagery. Now we're going to do a brand identity map. Now I'm compressing a day into like 40 minutes, so fasten your seatbelt. So a brand identity map is a mind map. It's what you want everybody in your organization to say when they talk about your organization. It's going to need to be in all your marketing communications. It's got it all on one page. So this is a full brand identity map. We don't have enough time to do this one, so we're going to do an abbreviated one. And this is to ensure you get consistent, repeated messages and visuals in all your marketing communications, from the website all the way down through your presentations. So here's an example of a brand identity map we did for an organization called the Northwest Entrepreneur Network. Entrepreneurs. Shortest positioning statement we ever did. Positioning statement's your most repeated message. Helping entrepreneurs succeed. You might have heard that message be repeated a little bit here, talking about Blackstone Launchpad powered by Techstars. So, and the number 2 purchase factors or reasons to belong are make connections and access resources. This was done with quantitative research with everybody in this organization, so it's dead on. So, you need to repeat it. So here's the website. Northwest Entrepreneur Network, helping entrepreneurs succeed. Helping entrepreneurs succeed, the Northwest Entrepreneur Network helps entrepreneurs make the connections and access the resources they need to succeed. So when I talk about repeating, like I'm not making it up, helping entrepreneurs succeed repeated 3 times at like 20-some words. So you really need to repeat it. It's really important. And then what happens is, I left the board, they got a new marketing person. They got rid of the positioning statement, they got rid of the imagery, they came up with a slogan. Slogans and taglines are a waste of time. It's just one more thing to remember, and you got to figure out what the heck it means. So they go from start to success, because internally they thought, oh man, we got something from everybody, from the most beginning entrepreneur to the Bill Gates, which was totally not authentic, didn't work, and everything changed. They went down to 100 members, and they went out of business. This branding stuff puts people out of business. I've worked with big companies, and we have put their competition out of business. I have worked with companies and made many people extremely wealthy. I'd like you all to become incredibly wealthy, and the way to do it is you need to use these techniques. So here's another problem. Only 1% of companies actually know why people buy their products. This is like a marketing branding sin. So you need to find out that when you're selling, what are the top 2 features that are going to get them to buy you instead of someone else? Sounds simple. Hardly anybody does it. You need to do this for your companies, because people out there are saying one thing when the customers want another. Only 8% of Americans trust advertising because this is what's happening. We need to find out if what you do, which of your customers really connects with what you do. So I had the opportunity to work with my son, Bree Pettis, who founded a company called MakerBot here in Brooklyn. We grew that company to $400 million, exited at $400 million. In 6 years, a manufacturing company. My son, Bree Pettis, is now doing whatever he wants, and he started a new company called Bantam Tools with desktop CNC machines. This was desktop 3D printing, and I got to be the VP of marketing for him when we rolled out this product, and it was such a blast. And Bree grew up with me, so he saw me using this stuff. We did brand identity maps, not only for the company, but for every product. And before Bree went on Colbert or any interview, he pulled out the brand identity map and he made sure he got the messages down so he was always on message. So this stuff really works. It's simple, but it takes a lot of discipline. So we're going to cover each part of this brand identity one part at a time. I'm just going to do this like really quickly. This is to give you a quick idea of what it's all about. And it's actually important if you could actually do market research to validate what you come up with. So we're going to cover the brand name, target audience, category descriptor, features, positioning statement. Okay. So here's the map. You all got one of these. First is, who's your target audience? So a target audience, you want to find out demographics, psychographics, who are they, what do they look like? Ideally, we give your target audience a name, so when you're talking about the rest of the parts of this brand identity map, you can say, well, what does Hank or what does Sally want? And it should be distinctive and it should be actionable for your marketing. So write your target audience in your map. Maybe you have one or two. So at MakerBot, while you're doing that, we started out thinking the target audience was hobbyists and people were going to buy a desktop 3D printer. Then we rapidly found out that hobbyists only buy one 3D printer, but when we sold to companies like GE, they bought lots of desktop 3D printers. So we switched the target audience from hobbyists to companies. Bingo, sales totally took off. Okay, brand name. Okay, so it was really interesting to see you've got a lot of unique brand names, so I congratulate you on that. The problem these days with brand names is finding one that's available for a trademark standpoint and also available for a domain name. Super hard. Memorable, short, and by the way, don't use acronyms. Words are 60% more memorable than acronyms. Using an acronym is a sure way to get people to forget your name and what you're doing. So category descriptor, this is actually really important. Back in the late 90s, all the high-tech companies, I wrote a book called Technobrands, all the high-tech companies thought branding is what it's at, so they started brand naming every product and coming up with tchotchkes and coffee cups and t-shirts, and they thought branding was done. I remember going to Sun where I did branding for the Sun Ultra Enterprise servers. And we'd done a map of all Sun in the middle and all their brand names, and there were like 70 brand names all around Sun, looked like the asteroid belt. And Scott McNeely was there, and they all realized that they made a major mistake here because nobody knew who all these names were. Plus, it takes a lot of money to manage those trademarks. So people like that, like at Microsoft, unless you're a billion-dollar brand, you don't get a new brand name. You have to use one of the existing Microsoft brands, and you need to use a category descriptor. A category descriptor is 2 to 4 words. It's a generic phrase. It's a hook so people know what you're talking about. And so desktop 3D printer. That was a term we actually made up at MakerBot that hadn't been used before. Now that's the generic accepted term. Tablet, smartphone. So this is not a funny name. This is not a made up name. This is what hook do you want to fit on in the minds of your customers. And you always want to link your brand name.
I just want to take a second here to point out that this really follows our category design stuff that we talked about. Here he is, he's, creating new categories. Desktop 3D printer did not exist before. So creating your category, even if you're the only one in it, has a lot of advantages, as you can see here.
Name and a category descriptor. So I've done a bunch of work for HP LaserJet printers, and they always do HP LaserJet printers. So you want to put your brand name and your category descriptor right afterwards, so people hook your name and can associate your name with the category you're in. This is actually a really important decision for you to make. Category descriptors, you need to have it so people really get it quick. One thing you can do is you come up with a list of category descriptors, you brainstorm. You get your team together. You give them, let's say you got 5 category descriptors, you give everybody 2 votes. You have them vote for the category descriptors that's going to be most simplest and easiest to understand for the target audience. And then you can do that with actually, ideally, your target audience, do some market research with them. SurveyMonkey works great. This is one that's really worth researching.
So he advocates combining your brand name with the category description or the category design, if you will. So I hadn't really thought about that. That's a little bit trickier, but it's an interesting approach. Not only do you create the category, but it's your brand name also. That's pretty cool, actually.
Can you put the link to this? I mean, it's some great information, but he does talk really fast. I'm trying to write
It's
notes.
in acceleraterural.org under
Okay.
member resources.
Okay, great.
And then you go to Techstars and you'll see branding as one of the choices. So it's there. Plus the workbooks are there too. He's the world's fastest talker. I
This is
agree.
really important. Features and benefits. What is a feature? A feature is a factual statement about your product or your service. You know, dimensions, specs. What are benefits? They're the end result. What does the target audience get from that feature? So here's an illustration from HP. The features are up to 40% faster, uses up to 53% less energy, up to 40% smaller, and the benefit is all this beautiful illustration. When we work with HP LaserJet printers, who actually got 90% of the market, they started off with just a picture of the product. Then they started showing the product with a person beside the product. Sales popped. Then they started showing the product with a person, showing the output that just came from the HP LaserJet printer with the right emotional expression. 90% market share. So that's what these features are really important. So, and how do you decide about features? You want to find the features that when your target audience has got it and down, whether they're going to buy you or someone else, you want to find the features that motivate them and switch them to buy you rather than the competition. Features are really important. It's another area that really ought to be researched. Okay, let's go. So my question is, for you, when you're selling, I mean, you all got up, you got your 2 minutes to do your pitch. What are the top features and selling message for your brand, for your product, for your service, for your target audience at the time when they're making the decision maybe to fund you, whether to partner with you, whether to be your customer? Examples of top-ranked purchase factors: reliable, scalable, grow as you grow, responsive, knowledgeable tech support, easy, fast, and affordable. So notice these are not complicated. These are easy to understand. The shorter is better because you're going to have to repeat these over and over again verbatim. Now I want you to do, thinking of your product, your service, what is the number one feature, purchase factor for your product or service in the minds and the hearts of your target audiences? These top three are actually from when I did work for Sun, when they were going from engineering workstations to wanting to get into the server marketplace, and we nailed these. It was done through quantitative research. They pulled all the top customers, 100 customers here in the city, and the analysts, they presented this. They were on message. They repeated these messages. They showed Larry Ellison up there showing scalable. And the analysts go to the top customer, what do you think? And the customer goes, it's just what I wanted. So you've done your feature. Now I want you to think, what are the benefits of that feature your target audience? And ideally, you want to brainstorm, make a whole list of why is that good for your target audience. And you want to bulletize them. We aren't doing paragraphs here, we're doing bullets. And then you want to think, hey, how does that make your target audience feel? When you deliver on the feature, when you deliver on the benefits, what's the emotion that makes them feel? Does it make them feel smart, confident, in control, safe, strong? You know, they're all these incredible emotions. Then you use the feature and the benefits for your messaging, and then you find imagery that's going to evoke this emotion when your target audiences look at the imagery. Now, this sounds simple. It actually isn't that hard, because if you do this with a group, you can ask them, how does it make you feel if you deliver on this feature and the benefits? Most people have no problem telling you how it made them feel. Then you need to go do research and find out what imagery is going to evoke that emotion. Now let's go to the tangible benefits. And now I want you to do, what's the intangible emotional appeal? So you've made your feature, you've made your benefit. Now think about how does your target audience going to feel when you deliver on that feature and that benefit? And think of an emotion. And then if you're really cruising, think about what kind of image you could show that would evoke that emotion with your target audience. So this is actually perhaps the most challenging one. This is called the positioning statement. The positioning statement is your most repeated message. You need to use this when somebody says, "Who are you?" or somebody in your company uses it and they say, "What do?" You want them to use the positioning statement. It needs to be repeated verbatim, not reworded. It needs to quickly describe what your company does and the benefit to your target audiences. It's generic and descriptive. We are not talking taglines or slogans here or funny, cute headlines. We're talking very straightforward, descriptive of what you do and the benefit to your target audience. A couple examples. With the Intel Celeron processor, you can expect an affordable and reliable PC for your home or home office. Idaho Conservation League preserves Idaho's clean water, its wildlife, and quality of life. The Blackstone Launchpad, powered by Techstars entrepreneurship program, helps students succeed. So the shorter is better because you need to remember it. And you've all got, I think, the fill-in form. This is another one that's really worth testing. You want to get everybody to memorize it. You need to find a positioning statement that you and everyone in your company is comfortable saying over and over and over again, like 1,000 times. And you also need to find a positioning statement. When you say that, your target audience says, "Tell me more." It starts the conversation because after you do the positioning statement, you give them your top 2 features and purchase factors, and now you got them. You're reeling them in. And you need to keep the number of purchase factors as short and sweet as possible because people just can't handle a lot of purchase factors and features. You need to keep it really straightforward. You want to repeat your name many, 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 many times because in branding, it's all about brand awareness and familiarity. You need to repeat your name so many times so people actually remember it, and then you connect that. It's called brand association with what you do. So use the message in your brand identity map repetitively. Avoid rewording. Link your brand map to your operations. You need to link the brand operations to make sure you can actually deliver on what you're promising in the features. Give it to everyone in your organization. You want everybody to use this. If they won't use the brand, if they won't give it the program, fire them. You want the right people on the bus. Read the book, Good to Great, and get these people who aren't going to participate, who are going to rein on the right messaging, get them out of the organization before they screw you up. And thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I know that's a lot to keep up with. Keep in mind that the class videos are on our YouTube channel. So you'll be able to watch it again there. And acceleraterural.org is under member resources. And then Techstars, you can find the branding section. And it's broken down in the individual sections and so forth. I know he talks really fast, but he really makes a case for making your brand knowable by your target market, to include any employees or folks that help you create your products and services. Everyone's got to sing from the same hymnal as I've heard in the past. So I'm curious if anyone has any reaction to this other than pure exhaustion trying to hear this guy talk so fast. Lisa, what do you think? Lisa Meeting?
I think it was great information. I wish I could get him to brand my company, but I'm definitely going to do. I didn't even know that there was like worksheets and stuff on the website. So I just saw that. So I'll be going through all of those. But it's great information, and I definitely need it. I need to do all of it.
Okay. Well, don't overwhelm yourself. Just one step at a time. and go through it. It isn't something that has to be done, overnight. And when you go through the process, particularly the worksheets, you'll start to integrate. You'll get an understanding of what this is all about. Right now, you may be hearing it for the first time, or you're kind of processing it, and you're, in your mind, you're trying to apply it in different ways.
Right.
Just relax, ingest the information, and kind of, become aware of this whole line of thinking. And you can go back to the category design stuff, because really, he even though he uses different words and he says them much faster, category design and category, defining your category is all in line with this. The other thing is that I think is challenging for everybody, things like logos and images for your website or for your social media campaigns. This is all, time consuming and difficult to do. So just, be easy on yourself and give yourself a chance to integrate the process. So, and then it will start to become very clear. You'll say, oh, I get it. Okay, I get it. And that's what will happen. And you look at some of these gigantic brands, like Nike, what is Nike's brand? Just do it with a swoosh, right? I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar company. They don't have pages after pages saying, the material their sneakers are made from, or none of that stuff. It's just the swoosh. Same thing with Starbucks, and I realize these are huge operations, spend a lot of money, but notice that, like in the case of Nike, they have had the same logo since they started, since I think 1974. He mentioned Coca-Cola, still singing from the same hymnal since 1903 or whatever. So, part of this is when you're working with something every day, you can get bored, or you can feel you're being repetitive, or all of that. But you got to look at it from the point of view, think of a party with a room full of people, and each one coming by you has never met you before, and wants to know, what do you do? What are you all about? And you got to say the same thing to every one of them, right? Otherwise you don't leverage what you're doing. It's like just lots of little messages, and they'll get lost and they won't remember. If you're the woman who makes that, the best gelato in North Carolina, they'll remember that woman makes the best gelato in North Carolina, instead of getting into how you source it or what flavors you have, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So part of it is also knowing your audience and what are they trying to get from you, right? A social thing is different than a classroom, is different than a trade show, et cetera. So you do have to have some awareness of who your market is or who your audience is. But simplicity and repetition are to really be integrated, I think. Yeah, Lisa, what'd you have?
What did I have?
I thought you were asking something. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Anybody want to bring up? Okay. My final thought on this is, the integration of your brand across all the customer touch points is also important. Whether it's your packaging, it could be you're at a farmer's market, or you're in a grocery store, or whatever you're doing, try to make those touch points as persistent and similar as possible. It will really help you. It'll help people get their arms around who you are and what you're doing. Don't try to provide facts to people. Think about emotions. What do you want them to feel when they hear of your brand? I think you start thinking like that. That will inform a lot of how you view what you're doing, and also how you go about doing it. I think will make a big difference.
I do have a question for you and everyone. Who do you all use for packaging? I have had the worst problems with packaging and trying to source it because most of the companies want you to buy 10,000 or more per SKU. to print your packaging. So I was just wondering if you all use someone else that may, have less or lower minimums.
When you say
Anybody want-
pack, are
Go
you
ahead.
mean like the containers you put in your
Right,
in?
right. Uh-huh.
Yeah, you can email me directly. That's actually what I do. I take people directly to the manufacturers and meet them directly, and you can custom make your bottles and things like that, or your jars, or whatever the case may be. So you can just shoot me an email. We
Okay.
can definitely shoot you in the right direction.
You have your email? Okay, I see it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I talked to Stan Pack and I got my cups printed through Viston Cups before, and their minimum used to be 500 cups. And then they went to, I think it's 10,000 now. Yeah, it's a lot. So that's a lot to spend per flavor,
Right. And see, a lot of those companies, they're trading companies, or what you call sister companies, if you will. So they have to go through some as well. And that's the whole point of what I do, is kind of cutting them out and taking you directly to the manufacturer.
They actually print their own cups. Viston does, and Stan Pack does too. I think they're out of Canada, but they have a US division here too. But yeah, it's just, $5,000 per flavor. It's just a lot to, and I have so many different flavors. So
Right. I
all
definitely.
right. I'll email you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We also have worked with Andy Kurtz of Buttermilk Creative. I put that in the chat. He's a package designer. And he knows everybody who does this kind of stuff, printing and so forth. So he'd be a resource for you as well. And he'll be a guest speaker coming up here in March. Works with several of our companies over the last couple of years. All right.
Dennis, did you
Great.
say that there was no class tomorrow, or was that next Thursday?
It's no class tomorrow. I've got to pretend to
Okay.
be a big shot for one day.
And then a Thursday later we're going to do class an hour later. Is that accurate?
That's March 1st.
March 1st. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yep. Check the calendar. I put it all on the calendar, hopefully.
My bad. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's the only way I can keep up. So,
Yeah.
all right, everybody. Well, thank you for coming today. And I promise he is the fastest speaker of anyone that we're going to listen to. So you don't have to worry.
Thanks, Dennis. That was great though. It was awesome information.
He's an animal. He is wide awake.
Yeah, definitely.